welcome to another episode of Toon Talk with me, Eisha. The Newcastle updates for this week have been crazy. I'm still in disbelief, to be honest, and I'm so excited to just discuss it all. I upload these updates every single Thursday, so make sure you subscribe now to stay tuned. Guess who's on the channel this week to have a chat with me? It's Keg from the Magpie channel. Thanks for joining me, Keg. How's it going?
It's all right. I'm a little bit more optimistic going into the season now than I was just a few days ago. So yeah, I'm happy. I've got a smile on my face.
Right? It's a really happy week for Newcastle fans. It's probably the happiest I've been in a really long time. So unless you guys have been living under a rock, this week, Newcastle made 3 signings. Now we've got Callum Wilson finalised, we've got Fraser from Bournemouth as well, and we also got Jamal Lewis, who is a Northern Ireland international, and we got him from Norwich. Now, the squad for the coming season, it's really coming together. It's getting closer to being finalised. There's still a bit more work to do. Now, I have to admit, my whole outlook has changed going into the season. Now, Saturday is our opening game. We had a dreadful summer, which we won't go into because I think I am mentally drained from speaking about it the whole summer. So let's keep it positive and let's look ahead. And this activity in the transfer window has given me the lift I really needed. Keg, what about you? What are your thoughts? Are you still in disbelief?
I am, yeah. I'm quite shocked. Just about last Saturday, I think it was, last Sunday, bank holiday, before me and Matty went on the drink, we did a video in my hotel room, and I was annoying myself because I was extremely pessimistic, and I hate being like that. I always try and look for the positives. I always try and hold my fingers crossed. I always try and keep high hopes and keep the spirit alive. But I was just drained emotionally and mentally. I just wasn't looking forward to the season. Losing to Middlesbrough and Stoke, the thought of absolutely nobody coming in, which was a real possibility. I didn't want the season to start. I was looking forward to seeing the likes of Chelsea and Man United and all the other teams, just not Newcastle. But now, I thought we really could have finished 20th. I think even if we finished 18th, that probably would have been somewhat of an achievement, that we weren't at the rock bottom of the table. But with these signings, that huge. Premier League proven quality players, and with a potential 1 or 2 more to come through the door, it's given everyone we needed a massive boost. So I'm now looking forward to the season. Saturday just can't come soon enough now.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you on that. And I think our pre-season didn't really help. And I've said before on the other episodes, I don't like to look too much into pre-season. I don't think it's a true reflection of how we go on. You know, in the past, it doesn't really have a correlation to me. But I have to say, the Middlesbrough defeat and the Stoke defeat, alarm bells were ringing. I guess I'm just thinking, what do you think prompted the change in this transfer window? Because typically we don't do our business till the 11th hour. Was it a bad pre-season? What do you think? Or the stress from maybe the summer? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not too sure myself. I would like to think that there's a valid reason. Maybe Mike actually just felt generous. I don't know. But yeah, you're right. Maybe it was to do with the pre-season. You mentioned pre-season, you don't look into it too seriously, and I agree. I'm completely with you. I'm not that bothered. That winning isn't really what it's about. Of course, it's nice, but it's about getting the players fit and having them gel if there's new players coming in. Sometimes new coaches, just getting used to the squad ready for the season. So yeah, losing, it's not a big deal. Me and Matty were down in Preston last year where we got beat 2-1. I didn't come away disappointed. I wasn't that bothered, to be honest, but 5-1 to Middlesbrough, that's just embarrassing. That's not what you need to start a season. If we got beat 1-0, 2-1, something like that, I couldn't care less, to be honest, but 5-1 with a fairly decent team out as well, lots of option. We pretty much had as strong a team as we could possibly field, and we got beat 5-1. That's just not what you need. The Stoke defeat, the team was poor, to be fair, especially when you looked at the bench. I don't know where everyone was. We only had 5 players on the bench. 4 of them probably aren't even going to get in the team next year. And that was the likes of Dan Barlaser, Hayden at the back. So yeah, I wasn't really too bothered about that, but losing your last 2 pre-season games to championship opposition that fought relegation last year, it's not a good sight. So maybe that was the spark that we needed, especially with Dwight Gale being injured, Dubravka being injured. I think maybe whether it was Bruce knocking on Ashley or Charlie's door and say, we need to sort something out right now. I don't know what it was, but whatever it is, I'm happy that they did it. Whoever's to thank, whoever's to blame, I don't know, but I'm thankful for it.
Me too. If we have to go through a couple of horrible defeats to, championship sides, which results in some quick signings in 1 week, then so be it. I'm just grateful. I'm happy.
Yeah, I agree.
So speaking of our signings, so let's talk about Callum Wilson first. So obviously he has England caps and he actually scored in his England debut a few years ago. He's a traditional number 9. He's an out and out goal scorer. His 2018-2019 season, he scored 14 goals, but last season was pretty underwhelming. I mean, I say underwhelming. He scored 8 goals. Bearing in mind, our highest goal scorer was Shelby.
Shelby was
6 goals. So, okay, it's not too bad, but for his form that he's had over the years, I feel like he really wants to put right what he didn't last season. Now, that being said, he signed with us on a 4-year deal, and I'm quite happy with that because I think it's sort of given us the ability to plan for the future, which is something which, we haven't had in a while. Even Rafa didn't quite have that. So I'm happy with that. So what are your thoughts on Callum Wilson generally?
Yeah, it's a fantastic signing. It's the kind of signing that we've been needing for years. Like, we've been taking gambles with players from abroad, players like unfamiliar with the Premier League, maybe youngsters that don't really know where their future's going yet. But Callum Wilson, he's had 4-5 years in the Premier League. He's 28 years old, England caps, as you say. So he's got the experience and he knows what it's about. And what really pleased me, just as much as the signings, he did an interview, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, where he said he doesn't even want to associate himself with 8 goals. And that's where like, he's disappointed with himself for that. But he wasn't a poor Bournemouth side. I think Eddie Howe was at a loss. Obviously, he lost his job. They've lost Fraser, Nathan Ake, quite a few others. I think that captain Simon Francis is away on a free. Jordan Ives away on a free. So it was a very depleting Bournemouth side. Like I said, I think Eddie Howe was at a loss. I think he took Bournemouth as far as he could. And I fully expected him to part ways with Bournemouth at the end of the season. I kind of predicted that one coming because, he has just taken them as far as he could. So, Wilson picked up a couple injuries. I think overall, they were just disappointing. Like, when we went down there and beat them 4-1, I was quite surprised because I've actually been a fan of Bournemouth over the last couple of years. But, they just haven't been the shadow of what they were, the season before, where he scored 14 goals. I think Fraser got about 14 assists. Like, between the pair of them, they were scoring goals and just playing for fun. Nathan Ake was fantastic. He was rumored for like 50 million moves and stuff. So, it's a great signing. I think he does want to right those wrongs. Like you say, he doesn't even want to associate himself with 8 goals. He almost sounds embarrassed to say he scored 8 goals, whereas our top striker scored 4, and Shelby got 6. So for him to feel ashamed by that, it's a great feeling for him to come in and have those thoughts where he demands double figures minimum. Like, to get past 10, 12, 14, brilliant. We need that. When a couple of seasons ago, it was the 18-19 season when we had Solomon Rondon, and we all treat Rondon like an absolute god. He scored 11 goals and 7 assists. I think in that season, Callum Wilson scored 14 and assisted 9. And Ryan Fraser, I think, had about 14 assists and 7 goals. If Wilson and Fraser together can replicate the season that they had a year before, just mark last season down to a bit of a blip, then great. Like I say, if he can get 10 goals, then great. Like I say, it's a massive improvement on what we had last season. So 10 to 12 goals. I'll be over the moon with it, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I think you raised a really interesting point that Bournemouth did sort of go as far as they could. And although they had an underachieving season as a squad, I guess, it's quite interesting to see that Premier League clubs were not put off by that. Nathan Ake, he's gone to Man City. Ramsdale's gone to Sheffield United. We've managed to nab 2 of them. So they've still got something in them, I hope. I guess with Callum Wilson, he has had 2 major injuries, 2 ACL injuries, I guess. And they say 2 is a good number because it means that you're past... You move on from that horrible milestone of a bad injury. And I guess because he wasn't up to his usual standard last season, those 2 things combined, is that a concern for you at all, injuries and last season's form?
It's a little concern, yeah. Like, you'd be lying if you say it wasn't. Like, we're getting another Andy Carroll. Like, how injury prone is he going to be? Like, Lejeune as well. Like, we've had as a Newcastle fan, with no injuries, I don't know if it comes from the training pitch or what, but we're jinxed with injuries. So we just kind of need to wrap Callum Wilson in cotton wool, really, because he really could be our saviour. That's why I'm saying that only scoring 10 goals would be an achievement. Really, we would like him to get 15 plus, but is he going to play every game? Are we going to be able to keep him fit and firing? It's a huge question mark. So yeah, it is a concern. We're just going to have to try and not think about it too much because we don't want to break my heart. We don't want to break my heart before the love affair starts.
So he isn't currently in the England squad. I've mentioned he has England caps. Now the Euros are next year because obviously they've been postponed. Now, do you think that ambition and desire to get into the squad will play a part? I feel like he'd have something to prove and it would be like added motivation. What do you think? Yeah,
definitely. I think quite a lot of players, like it's not a step down by any means, but I know like a lot of players who are struggling will step down to get first team football. They'll want to go somewhere where they're guaranteed, and in the Championship it's not guaranteed. So I think like Aston Villa were knocking on the door, but they've got the likes of Wesley and Samatta and just signed Ollie Watkins. So I think he'd seen an opening at Newcastle and thought like they're desperate for a striker. That could be the place where I can go, start week in, week out and recreate some form. Yeah, like, I think he could, like if he can get 10 to 15 goals, he will be knocking on the door, but competition's stiff, like we're just seeing the season that Danny Ings and Jamie Vardy have had. So he's going to have to bang goals in. He's going to have to get 15 goals if he wants to get back in the England team. But I think he's got more chance of getting back into England, scoring 10 to 15 goals for Newcastle than he will playing for Bournemouth in the Championship or potentially being a bench warmer at Aston Villa.
Exactly. He's guaranteed, first team football with us. And he probably looked at us as a really appealing, opportunity. Like they need a striker. I know I can get goals, so let me head there and prove everyone. It's quite a sensational stage for him to prove himself as well. I guess because everything that comes with it, like, playing at a club like Newcastle. So let's move on to Matt Ritchie. Now, initially he was part of the swap deal and I was convinced that we wouldn't be able to afford Callum Wilson without this arrangement. So when I heard of the Callum Wilson deal and, the absence of Matt Ritchie's clause, I was really surprised, pleasantly surprised. Now, I guess Bournemouth couldn't deliver on the wages front. So he's sort of with us for now, but it's not confirmed. Apart from if you saw Andy Carroll's Instagram story where that was so funny. For anyone who hasn't seen it, basically he put up an Instagram story. He was in a restaurant with the two new Bournemouth guys, Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser, and Matt Ritchie. And he said, send Matt Ritchie to Bournemouth. No, we'll bring Bournemouth to him. So it's funny he made that little announcement before it was officially announced that the Matt Ritchie deal isn't really happening for now. So basically, what do you want to happen with Matt Ritchie? I mean, if Bournemouth come back and they can meet his personal demands, would you be happy to let him go?
I think when the rumour was first announced that Ritchie may play a part in the Callum Wilson deal, I was kind of okay with it, with the understanding that we'd be bringing in Ryan Fraser as well. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1 deal. If we can get Fraser in to replace Ritchie, as well as bringing in a goal scorer, I'd be okay with that. But like Matt Ritchie, he's a funny one for me because I think over the last 2-3 years, his end product just hasn't really been there for me. Like he's a bit of a question mark. Like he's not a starting player for me. I think we could get better wingers. As a fullback, he's okay. I think his saving grace is his determination. I think he could be a great leader. I think he could be a great captain. He always puts in 110%, which is usually what we ask for as Newcastle fans. Like we've signed players that just don't put in the effort and it's frustrating. But with Matt Ritchie, you can't say that. You can't say he doesn't put in 110%. But it's a performance-based business, right? He needs to be scoring goals, creating assists. That's what he's here for. You can't keep players because they're nice people. Like it's a harsh business, you know what I mean? So I would be happy to keep him around because, like I say, he's a great option. He's versatile. He can play either wing, fullback, and it seems like he's got a cracking personality, a nice lad to have in the dressing room. So he'll keep spirits high and he'll motivate. He seems like the kind of guy that isn't there to make friends. He wants to win and he wants to, like he did with Christian Atsu last year, give him a kick up the arse if they're not performing. Like that's the kind of person that we need. But in terms of a starting 11 player, I'm not really that bothered. If he does move on, we've already got the replacement there in Ryan Fraser. But yeah, I would like to keep him, but it's one of them. It's a 50-50 really.
I totally agree with you. I think the best quality in him is definitely his attitude, and that I really like that about him. Aside from being a really versatile, hardworking player, I really like his passion, his drive, his determination. And I feel with his experience and the journey he's been on with us, it's just having that valuable sort of anchor in our team mentally more than physically. And I think at the start of last season, obviously he got injured, but prior to last season, I do feel he was more or less one of our most consistent players. I do think him staying for the moment, I'm happy with, for squad rotation and even to just help integrate the new players. So for now, I'm happy with him staying, but I think I have a similar view to you. I wouldn't be too upset if he got on his way. It seems like he does want to for family reasons, and that's fine. He's been a loyal servant to Newcastle United, so, see you, Matt Ritchie. Love you, Media.
We'd wish him the best, of course.
Exactly.
He has been a loyal server. We've got no hard feelings. If he leaves, we'll shake his hand and wish him the best of luck. If he wants to be in Bournemouth for family reasons, you can't argue about that. So if he goes, he goes. If he stays, then I'm happy to keep him in the squad. Yeah,
agreed. So moving on to Ryan Fraser. Now, we signed him on a 5-year deal, and that was on a free transfer. I don't think bargain signings get better than that, surely.
Nah. Especially when he was with 25 million moves to Arsenal 12 to 18 months ago, and we're getting him for absolutely nothing. Yeah, like you say, as far as a bargain goes, it's an absolute winner. Mike Ashley's favourite price, free.
Exactly. Yeah, like you said, so last summer he was really in demand. So this season he got 1 goal and 4 assists. Season prior was his breakout season. It was pretty prolific. So 2018-2019 he got 93 key passes. He got 7 goals, 14 assists, and that was just second behind Eden Hazard. Now, as we've said, he attracted interest from other clubs, and it appears that Bournemouth didn't want him to leave, and that caused his sort of Bournemouth reign to come to a sour end. But he seems happy to move past it, and I do like him speaking to media. He seems really transparent and really sincere in the way he talks. He seems very open about that, which is great. Are you confident that he has a few more years left in him and he's really going to show us what he's made of?
Definitely, he's only 26. That is still quite young. Like I say, it's not 21, 22, but he's got that experience, that 18, 19 season. I think similar to what I said about Callum Wilson. I think he'd be disappointed in that, but I think his heart kind of did leave Bournemouth. We know he wanted to be closer to his family up in Aberdeen, whereas far north in England as he could possibly go to Aberdeen. So I think that might have possibly helped, but. Yeah, I think not getting his move kind of maybe changed his mindset a little bit. I think we might probably see a similar season with Lionel Messi at Barcelona. He wasn't the same last year. He said he wanted to leave the year before. I think he'll probably have another poor year this year, because if you don't want to be there, you don't want to be there. Your heart's not in it. So that's why he didn't sign a new contract, and he didn't play after lockdown. His contract was cancelled straight after the restart. I think now he's happier. He's getting a move. He's away from, let's say, Bournemouth were on a downward slope. Eddie Howe took them as far as he could go. So, I think, everyone had a poor year, really, Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser included. So I think now, he's ready to replicate his form. He's got his buddy up here, Callum Wilson. He knows Matt Ritchie. I think he will be happier, and he'll want to strive. And I think you mentioned, the interviews. I think all 3 of them, including Jamal Lewis, could be given a lot of credit for their interviews. They all sounded like they were really happy to be here and really just want to play football and win for this football club. They can see a vision that we haven't really seen over the last year or two. It seems like the club's been going absolutely nowhere. But these lads want to come in and really work hard and win for this football club and try and push up the league and show some ambition for once, which is fantastic to hear. Ryan Fraser said all the right things, and all 3 of them have. That's why I think that as good as signings, not just as players, but as people with that ambition and that mentality, it's that just unbelievable signings. I hope Ryan Fraser can replicate the form he had 2 years ago. Let's say last season was disappointing for everyone involved with Bournemouth. So I think he'll be happier now. He's up north. I think he can change his ways a bit, get back to the form from 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think all of them, from what I've seen in their interviews, it's just refreshing, isn't it? People are excited to get up to the northeast and show us what they're made of.
For once.
And I think For once, no, I think it's hilarious. With Ryan Fraser, like, it must be the only player we've ever benefited from being geographically northeast, the furthest we can be from London. The players that are getting deals offered from London clubs, it's always that, you know, the logistics. Oh my God, it is so far. But yeah, to think that it's actually benefited us for once, I'm like, yes, get in. So let's move on to Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser and their dynamic duo, because this is a partnership I'm really excited about. Now, let's talk about the 2018-2019 season again. So they combined for 12 top flight goals, which is currently still the most productive partnership in a 38-week campaign. Now, they've spent 6 seasons together, which is just fantastic. You know, like their chemistry on and off the pitch, it seems something special. With Ryan Fraser, he's actually spoken to press about this partnership, and he said that it can get even better at Newcastle. And he said that with quite some confidence. And they obviously know each other inside out. Do you reckon they can immediately revive this partnership and make an immediate impact with us?
Well, I hope so. Fingers crossed. But yeah, like they said in the interviews, they've said all the right things. They're ticking all the boxes at the minute, and they do just want to play better football. I think they were disappointed in last year at Bournemouth. And I think both of them are happy now that especially that here together. They've got friends. Sometimes it can be hard to adapt into a new team. So that's why it was great to see Andy Carroll taking them out to dinner, taking them out in Jesmond with Bournemouth teammate Matt Ritchie. It looks like they've already gelled. It looks like they're already part of the team. They have been for the last year or two. So yeah, it's fantastic to see them there. And I think Callum Wilson says he was waiting to find out what Ryan Fraser was doing, because they almost come like a tag team, like a Bournemouth version of Ant and Dec. You don't get one without the other. I think it was great that they were waiting to find out where each other were going. So yeah, I think they can. I really, really hope so. Like that's what we're keeping our fingers crossed for. Because if they can't, if they have poor years, it could be another situation like we were in a few weeks ago. Like, or we're better off with Jacob Murphy. You know, like Joelinton. Like, we're going to be reverting to these players if they can't hit form. Hopefully not. Hopefully that new blood, proven, experienced players that can come in and really change the fortunes of this club and push on. I think for all three of them actually wanting to come here, I think that is massive, because like I say, like some players will prefer the south, sorry. I think some players, especially coming from abroad, prefer London. I think Crystal Palace and Watford have more advantage of attracting players geographically. It is great that players from Norwich and the South Coast are wanting to come all the way up north to play for this football club. Hopefully together they can link up, do what they've done 2 years ago, score and create a lot of goals. I think Callum Wilson mentioned, I just seen before on Twitter that Callum Wilson did an interview where he says like even the likes of Shelvey, Almiron, Sir Maximin, there's creators in the team. So hopefully they can put it on a plate for him, as well as having his mate Ryan Fraser there as well. So hopefully they can just score a lot of goals, because that was our problem last season. Scoring goals, we couldn't buy a goal at times. We were relying on centre-backs. John Joe Shelby was our top goal scorer. So yeah, hopefully like them two can bring that form back. How many goals did they create? Like 12 goals they assisted for each other.
12, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like we need that. We need to hit the ground running.
Double figures.
Yeah, I know. I hope so. Yeah, like we're keeping everything crossed, because I say it could just be a backward step if they don't hit form, or if Callum Wilson picks up a big injury. So touch wood, nothing like that happens.
Yeah, I guess I do have a little bit of comfort in the fact that at the moment, unless we, get rid of some players, we do kind of have options, backups, plan Bs. We've not always had that luxury, so I am excited about that. So let's talk about Jamal Lewis. Now, our left back search was quite an interesting one. I followed it quite closely. More so because I am a fan of Jetro Willems, and I did sort of sympathise with him in a way, because he made it so clear that he wanted to stay, he wanted his contract to get sorted out. Then there was Rogerio, the rumours were doing the rounds every single week, that Demetrius Gian Lewis, and then obviously the Danny Rose situation. Now, are you happy us finalising on Jamal Lewis?
I am. I still think we need another backup though, because what we have, it just isn't good enough. We're kind of making do with players that aren't left backs, in my opinion. We had Manquillo, Matt Ritchie and Paul Dummett, who for me is a centre-back. He's not a Premier League quality left-back, so I would like option there. Whoever we're going to get, I do and still want two of them. I think Jamal Lewis is a great signing. Liverpool were looking for him to be Andy Robertson's backup. So if Jurgen Klopp's looking for him to go to the Champions, like, that speaks volumes. I'm not going to lie, I didn't really see much of him at Norwich last year, but he's highly rated. The Norwich fans are devastated to be losing him. So, yeah, I think he is a great signing. If we can get someone else in to cover for him, I hope so. Jarrod Williams might be available on a free or a massive bargain in January because he's still injured from the injury he picked up earlier this year. So even if we brought Jarrod Williams in, he wouldn't be able to play until almost Christmas time anyway. So if we wait till January, we might be able to get Jarrod Williams Varney on a free, which I think would be great. I think everybody wanted Williams in. He was fantastic last year. He can score goals as well as create them. Rogerio, I didn't really know too much about until we were linked with him, but after looking into him, he seems like a really good, exciting, forward-thinking fullback. So I was kind of hoping we were going to get him in, but being the same value as what Lewis was, I think that's highly unlikely now. But Giannoulis could still be an option because he's only meant to be about 4 million. I don't expect him to set the world alight. He'll probably be a similar type fullback to Emil Kraft. Just that same kind of 4 million kind of bargain buy just to fill up in the squad. So I'd be quite happy to take Giannoulis in, or if we can wait. Like, January is only about 4 months away because the season's starting so late. January will be coming around quicker than we know it. So if we can hold out until January, we could get Williams in cheaper than we could. So it depends. Do we wait for Williams or do we go in for Giannoulis? Unfortunately, I think Rogerio's off the table now. But yeah, I do think Jamal Lewis is a great signing. He's wanted by Liverpool. Like, that can't get much more of a compliment than that. It didn't look like they were getting him, so they bought the Greek lad from Olympiacos. So yeah, I'm happy with it. I haven't really seen too much of him play. Like, Norwich weren't really the first team I was looking for in Match of the Day last season. So hopefully he can be the guy that we think we're getting. He's an international as well, got international caps. So yeah, I think he could be a great signing, but time will tell with that one.
I like how he was on international duty and he dropped it all to come back for his Newcastle medical. I was like, I like that. That shows he's ready and raring to go. And if he needs to, he will, leave the Northern Ireland squad to make his way on Tyneside, get that medical done, get ready and get it all. And luckily, it means that he's able to play this weekend. He is declared fit and ready. And he is an ex-cross-country runner, which is great. So we know he has bags of pace, which is a huge feature of his game. And like you said, Liverpool wanting him, it says it all. And I quite like the fact that he came for us because he knew he was guaranteed first-team football, whereas at Liverpool, he would have been, a second option and he wouldn't have played as much. So young players that have that in them, the players that want to be starting every game, making those kind of decisions rather than being guided by a huge name and, a huge club. Not that we aren't huge, but I like that. Let's move on to Joelinton. Now, this week, Steve Bruce said that he'll be retaining the number 9 shirt. Now, he said that Callum Wilson will get number 13, and he still has this faith in Joelinton. He's saying there's a 24-year-old here, he's still getting used to the Premier League, and it has been tough for him. What are your thoughts on him keeping the number 9 shirt?
In all honesty, I'm not too bothered about it. I'm low-key happy about it, to be honest, because I think... I said in a video a couple of days ago, I think no one's taken into consideration Joelinton's thoughts or his opinions. Like, if he wanted to drop the number 9 shirt, then he could have done that. If it was weighing too much pressure on him, he could say, look, Callum Wilson can have that shirt. I want rid of it. So, no one's thought about it that angle. But I think for Newcastle to just strip him of it, I wouldn't like that at all. I think if we took it off him, I'm not a fan of that because... that is a player in there. We just haven't seen the best out of him. I like Joelinton. I think he gets a lot more stick than he deserves. And he is low on confidence. He has had a poor season. So if we just came and stripped his shirt number off him, that could have ruined any confidence that he had. But I also think squad numbers, it's a bit of an old tradition now. I don't really think it matters, to be honest, anymore. It's kind of historic, but it's been a bit of a curse. Newcastle, since Shearer, we've had glimpses of Carroll, Cisse, Martins for a little bit, but it's been a bit of a jinx. Like maybe the pressure is a little bit too much. If you look at like Man United's, like their famous shirt's the number 7 shirt since Ronaldo left 12 years ago. They've been jinxed as well. So maybe like these shirt numbers are putting unnecessary added pressure on players when it shouldn't be. So Callum Wilson's comfortable wearing the 13 shirt. He said that it's a special number for him. So again, like we haven't took into consideration his thoughts. Maybe he doesn't want the number 9 shirt. Maybe he's happy with 13. Like maybe
no,
that's...
he said, I think he said if it was available, I would have grabbed it with both hands, but it wasn't. So, and I think he pretty much doesn't want to tread on any toes, which is, it's understandable. He seems like a nice guy. He's not going to, some players I know obviously have demands. They won't move unless they have the number 9 shirt. Like Alan Shearer coming to us, Les Ferdinand had to pass it down to him. You know, that was the number 1 clause in his contract, and that works well. And I know, I get what you're saying actually, that pressure is enormous, and especially a club like us with so much history, huge expectations come with that number 9, and maybe you are right about the curse of, you know, that pressure. What impact do you think these signings will have on Joelinton? They've got to be positive, right? Or do you think, I feel like sometimes when new additions are made and a player is underperforming, it either goes one way or the other. They either feel like I must prove myself and I must prove my spot and show that I'm worthy of starting every single game, or he could gel well and they could, you know, generate a lot more goals.
Yeah, like I say, it could go one way or the other with Joelinton this season. I think his game time will be limited now. Last season he was pretty much guaranteed to start because we had such injuries to Gale and Carroll. But now this season we've got that striker, we've got Callum Wilson in, and we've got a wide player on the left-hand side as well, which is where Joelinton is okay on the left-hand side. So I think he's going to have to be comfortable being in rotation now. And I think as far as a striker, we know he's not a striker. So as long as we've got more option there, if Gale's fit, Andy Carroll as well, I don't think he'll get much game time. He's going to have to perform either in the number 10 role or out on the left when he gets a chance, but he's down in the pecking order now that we've got these guys in. But I still want to see him be given a chance, but maybe the pressure off him now, starting week in, week out, up top by himself, where he's not comfortable. Like, it can be good. I thought he did quite well towards the end of last season when he was played on the left-hand side. He's more preferred position, but yeah, like he's going to have to step up his game now. Like I say, his game time's going to be limited. He's down in the pecking order, so when he gets a chance, he's going to have to grab it with both hands now. Otherwise, he could be out the door next summer.
Yeah, I agree. I just hope we get our money's worth, because the more I see the transfer activity going on now, the more I realise that £40 million for a non-Premier League proven striker is extortionate. All of our signings have Premier League experience, and it's nowhere close to £40 million. So I just hope we get our money's worth. It was such a huge, huge investment, and we rolled the dice with him. It didn't pay off, but if he can get going this season, I'll be more than happy. And we have seen glimpses of potential, so let's just hope for the best with him. Let's move on to the Premier League starting on Saturday. Woohoo! West Ham game, so excited for it. Last October, I went to the same fixture, and oh my God, late drama. We were like 3-0 up at half time, and then they nearly equalised. But I guess the main thing I remember from that game was the Shelby goal. It was an absolute rocket. So I'm hoping for a victory this Saturday. What about you?
Of course, I'm hoping for a win. Well, I think I've actually just put a bet on 3-2. Because it's been 3-2 for the last couple of seasons there, I think, as well. Apart from the one before. Yeah, when Henry Saive scored a free kick. Yeah. So, if we can take a point to get off the mark, I'd be fairly happy with it, because I don't think we're going to see all of the new boys. I don't think Ryan Fraser, he'll definitely not start. Whether he'll make the benches up for grabs now, because he hasn't even kicked a competitive ball in about 8 months. He hasn't had a club in 5 months. I think he'll be quite a bit off the pace, so I'd be surprised if he's in the squad at all. If he comes off the bench, it'll be another surprise. Callum Wilson might be the same, but I've got a feeling we're going to start with Andy Carroll and bring Callum Wilson on a little bit later. He's got a good record against West Ham as well. 7 goals. Appearances, yeah. But I don't know, is it a bit too early to throw him in? Like, Andy Carroll's had a good pre-season. Callum Wilson have had about 5 days training with the guys up until the game, so it might be a bit too soon to start him. I think we should maybe show a little bit of loyalty towards Andy Carroll because he is fit, which is the big thing about Andy Carroll. He's fit and he's been scoring goals in pre-season. So yeah, so maybe get Wilson off the bench. We'll probably not see Fraser. I probably would be starting Lewis because we haven't got another left back option and he is match fit. He's been playing international football. So he's fit and ready to go. So yeah, I think they are there for the taking because I think West Ham haven't had a great pre-season. I don't think they've signed anyone. I think they've got a couple of injuries as well. I think Souček's injured. Yeah, like I said, they made no signings. They've been trying to get James Tarkowski, but not offering the 50 million that Burnley want. So they could be there for the taking. I think a point to start off the season is acceptable, especially if we're not seeing the likes of Wilson and Fraser straight away. I think a point would be a decent enough result, but if we can get firing off the mark and take all 3 points away, then I'll be even more excited for the season to come.
Knowing that Callum Wilson and Jamal Lewis have been declared fit, and I guess Ryan Fraser is still waiting for the green light from Steve Bruce, which realistically isn't going to come. You know, like he said, it has been months since he played a Premier League game. But with Callum Wilson's record against West Ham with 7 goals in like 8 appearances, I'd be excited to see something from him. And also same with Andy Carroll. I mean, he's got a couple of pre-season goals. Let's see what he's made of. He's not currently injured, so fingers crossed for that. For once, yeah. So your score prediction is 3-2, right?
Going off tradition, yeah. Like if we can score 3 goals, I'll be over the moon. I think it'll probably be a closer game, maybe like a 1-0, a 2-1. I think it was 2-2 at St James's after the restart, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it'll be close. Maybe, yeah, 2-1 Newcastle, hopefully.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. I think it'll be 2-1 or it'll be 3-2. 3-2
yeah.
Just for tradition's sake, like it was last season.
Yeah, I hope 3-2 as well, because I'll be £135 richer.
Whoa! Oh my God. This video should have been sponsored by that app that you just...
Should have been.
Should have been. That's pretty much it. Keg, thank you so much for joining me. I really enjoyed chatting to you. So I'm going to leave links in the description below to the Magpie channel. As I'm sure of you guys already know, they do daily content. They do pretty much everything. So what can we expect to see from the Magpie channel now, Keg?
I know Matty's just literally uploaded a video about the takeover from yesterday, the new talk, the refreshing takeover talk. So like, there'll be more discussions about that if there's anything available. But with the season finally starting, we can get back to making our regular content with takeover talk and not many signings up until the last week. Pre-season's been a little bit dry, but now we're back, we're making transfers, the games are coming thick and fast now. I keep getting phone calls, sorry about that. Yeah, so I'll be back tomorrow doing lineup predictions. I do that the day before every game, giving my predicted lineup. So that'll be out tomorrow night. And as long as we can't be getting to games, we'll be doing live watch-alongs for every game. So they're like 2-hour live streams. And then straight afterwards, we'll be doing fan cams, which you're welcome to come on. We'll send you the link. As well as player ratings, match reviews, all of that. So they'll be coming in the next few days. And then afterwards, we've got Blackburn on Tuesday. So we'll be getting straight into previews and predictions for that. So yeah, we've got all that to come up in the next few days. So we'll be very, very busy.
Oh, nice. Lots of stuff. Non-stop Newcastle chat. That's what we like to see.
Yeah.
Love it. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for these weekly video podcasts. I'll see you guys next Thursday. Thank you so much for watching. And thanks again, Keg, for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye, guys.